The 5M Club, Own Your Morning, Elevate Your Life. We'll discuss about the chapter 8, the 5M method, the morning routine of the world builders. It is well to be up before daybreak, for a such habit contributes to health, wealth, and wisdom. Aristotle. Welcome to the 5 a.m. club. The billionaire bellowed as he bounded down the step from his seaside home. Bonjour, that's a carol for good morning. You are right on time. I love it. Punctuality is the trait of royalty. At least it is in my playbook. Stone Rally, my name, he declared as he graciously extended a hand to greet his two guests. The tattered old clothes had been blessed with a black pair of trimly cut running shorts and a pristine white t shirt with the line "No idea works until you do the work" em- emblazoned on it. He was barefoot and cleanly shaved, seemed extremely fit, and sported a wonderful sustan, all of which made him look many years younger than he had appeared at the seminar. On his head, he wore a black baseball cap turned backward. His green eyes were still uncommonly clear, and his smile was astonishingly radiant. Yes, there was a something exceedingly special about this man. As the entrepreneur had sensed, a white dove hovered over the tycoon, floating in the air for about 10,000 as if suspended by magic. Then it flew off. Can you imagine this? It was a miraculous thing to see. Let me give you to let me give you to a hug. If you don't mind, the billionaire exhausted, wrapping his long arm around the entrepreneur and the artist at the same time without waiting for a reply. God, you have courage. Yes, you do. He mused. You trusted a dissolved old man, a total stranger. I knew I looked like a vagrant the other day. Hey, it's not that I don't care about how I look. I just don't care that much about how I look. He said he laughed at his own lack of self consciousness. I just like to keep things real, nice and simple, completely authentic. Makes me think of that old insight. Having lots of money doesn't make you different. It just make you more of who you were before you made the cash. The billionaire peered out into the ocean and allowed the early rays of fresh dawn to wash over him. He closed his eyes and inhaled deeply. The contours of his chiseled abdominal muscles were noticeable through his t-shirt. Next, he pulled a flower from the back pockets of his black shorts. Neither the entrepreneur nor the artist had ever seen a flower like this one, and it wasn't all damaged from being in the billionaire's pocket. Strange. Flowers are very important to anyone serious about creating a magic in their work and private lives, spoke the mogul as he sniffled the petal. Anywho, I wanted to mention that my father was a farmer. I grew up on a farm. Before we moved on a Southern California, we thought simple, spoke simple, ate simple, and lived simple. You can take the boy out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the boy, he added, expressing an enthusiasm that was contagious while his sights were more beautiful than anything they had previously seen. Utopia isn't it? Said the billionaire. He put on his sunglass. I am blessed, that's for sure. I am so glad you cats are here. So, was it your father who got you into the habit of getting up with the sun? Asked the artist as they scrolled along the water edge. A tiny crab raced by while three butterflies ascended above. Stunningly, the billionaire started twirling around like a whirling dervish. While he spun, he began to shout these words. I would have it inscribed on the curtains of your chamber. If you do not rise early, you can make progress in nothing. What are you doing? Questioned the entrepreneur. It's an excellent quote from the William Pitt, the Earl of Chatham. For some reason, I just felt the need to share it right now. Anywho, let me answer the questions about my father. The billionaire said awkwardly, yes and no. I watched him rise early every morning of my childhood. As with my good routine, he did it so many times that it became impossible for him not to do it. But like most kids, I resisted what my dad wanted me to do. I always had some form of rebel within me. I am a bit of pirate in a way. Rather than fight a small war with me every day for whatever reason, he just let me do what I wanted to do. So I'd sleep late. Cool father, spoke the entrepreneur who was dressed in yoga gear in this morning and carried her device with her to take careful notes. He was affirmed the billionaires, warmly putting his arms around his students as they continued to walk slowly along the pristine beach. Mr. Raleigh continued, it was actually the spellbinder who taught me the 5 a.m. method. I was a young man when I first met him. I had just launched my first company. I needed someone to guide me, challenge me, and develop me as an entrepreneur, a peak achiever, and as a leader. Everyone said he was a best executive coach in the world. By far, he had 3 years waiting list, so I called him every day until he agreed to become my mentor. He was a pretty young back then, too, but his teaching had a depth of wisdom, a purity of power, and an ingenious impact that was remarkably advanced for his age. And the early rising discipline helped. The artist broke in. The billionaire smiled at the artist and stopped walking. It was the on, it was the one practice that changed and elevated every other practice. Researchers now called this kind of a core behavior that multiplies all your others regular patterns of performing a keystone habit. Writing it in as a profound neural pathway took some effort, a little suffering along the way, the strongest commitment I had in me. I'll be honest with you, there was a day during the process of automating bent on in this time of exponential change, overwhelming distractions, and overflowing schedules. Getting up at 5 a.m. and running the morning regime the spellbinder taught me was my antidote to average. No more rushing in my morning. Imagine what that alone does for the quality of your day. Starting your day luxuriating in the quietude only the early morning provides. Beginning provide you day feeling strong and centered and free. I found my mind become dramatically more focused as day progressed. Every great performer, whether we are talking about the championship athletes, a top tier executives, a celebrated architect or revered cellist, has developed the ability to concentrate on optimizing their particular skill for long uninterrupted period of time. This capability is one of the special factors that allows them to generate such high quality result in a world where too many people dilute their cognitive bandwidth and fragment their attention, accepting poor performance and ordinary achievements while leading lives of disappointing mediocrity. I definitely agree, indicated the artist. It's rare to see someone focus on their art of many hours in row these days. The spellbinder was right when at his session he called people addicted to their devices cyber zombies. I see them every day. It's like they are not real human being anymore. More like robots glued to their screens, not present and half alive to live. I hear you, said the billionaire. Protections from the distractions is precisely how you need to work if you are serious about dominating your field and winning at your craft. Neuroscientists call this peak mental state we are speaking of, where our perceptions becomes heightened and our availability to original ideas rises, and we access an all new level of processing power. Flow and rising at 5 a.m. promotes the flow states of gorgeously. Oh, and by getting up at before daybreak while almost everyone around you in a sleep. My creativity also soared, my energy definitely doubled, my productivity surely tripled my. You are serious? The entrepreneur interrupted, unable to contain her fascinations with the idea that simple shift towards a bespoke, bespoke morning routine could reorder a human life so completely. Absolutely, honesty has been one of the core convictions for all my years in a business. Nothing beats going to sleep early each night with an unspoiled conscience and conscience, unspoiled conscience and a mess free heart. That's a part of my farm boy nature, I guess. Observed a billionaire. Abruptly, the entrepreneur phone's signal the arrival of an urgent incoming message. So sorry, I told my team not to call me here. I was clear with them. I can't imagine why they are bothering me now, she said as she looked down at the screen. In all caps, the following stark words appeared: leave the company or else you die. The entrepreneur fueled with her phone, then she accidentally dropped it into the sand. Soon she was gasping for air. What happened? The artist asked quickly, sensing trouble. Seeing the blood wash out of his friend's face, her hands trembling, he repeated with greater intensity and even higher empathy, what happened? The billionaire also appeared concerned. Are you okay? Do you need some water or something? I just received a death threat from my investors. They want my firm. They are trying to kick me out because they think I have too big a share. They just told me that if I don't walk away, they will kill me. Instantly, the billionaire ripped off the sunglasses he was sporting and held them in the air, making the circling movement. Seconds later, from behind a flourishing of palm tree, two large men with a earpiece and rifle sprinted down on the beachfront as fast as the cyclist on steroids. Boss, you are right. The tallest of the two big men asked tensely. Yes, came the confident and calm reply to his security detail. But I need you to check this out of immediately. If it's cool for me to do this for you, he said as he looked at the entrepreneur, I can help you make this go away. The billionaire then muttered something to himself and flight of dove soared by. Sure, yes. I'd appeared some help. The businesswoman replied, her voice still shaking and pearl of perspirations appearing on her forehead. In the area where all those creases were. Leave this with us, declared the billionaire. He then spoke to his protections people politely yet with an undeniable air of authority. Seems my guts Seems my guest here is being seriously harassed by some thugs hoping to take over her enterprise. Please figure out exactly what they are up to and then present me with your solution. Don't worry, he told the entrepreneur. My guys are the best in the business. This won't be a problem. Mr. Riley articulated this last sentence in a fashion that emphasized each word for a powerful effect. Thank you very much. The entrepreneur responded, looking enormously relieved. The artist held her hand tenderly. Okay, if I continue, the billionaire requested as sun rose higher into the in the glamorous in the glamorous tropical sky. His guest nodded. An attendant, impeccable attire, emerged from a hut that sat higher up on the beach. It was a painted green with white trim. Soon an ad was serving the richest, most delicious coffee the entrepreneur and the artist had enjoyed in their lives. Fantastic cognitive enhancers when consumed in moderation each morning, expounded the billionaire as he sipped away. And it's packed with antioxidants, so coffee also slows aging. Anywho, where we where where were we? I was telling you about the awesome benefit that flowed to me after I joined the 5M club and ran the morning methodology the spellbinder revealed to me. It's a call the 20-20-20 formula, and trust me, once you learn this concept alone, then apply it with persistency, your productivity, prosperity, performance, and impact will increase exponentially. I can't think of another ritual that has contributed to my success and well being as much. I am exceedingly low key about what I have been able to accomplish in my business career. I have always viewed bragging as a major defect of character. The more powerful a person truly is, the less they need to promote it. And the stronger a leader is, the less they needed to announce it. The spellbinder spoke a bit about what you've been able to achieve, offered the entrepreneur, now looking even more relaxed. And a wild way you dress at a conference definitely confirmed it. Interjected the artist, flashing a sensational smile that showcased a few broke teeth. Rising at a 5 a.m. morning was a main personal practice that made most of that happen, allowed me to become a visionary thinker. Prostate cancers tried to devastate me. It was my morning routine that insulted that insul- that insulated me. It really was. I'll go into the 2020 formula in an upcoming lesson. So you will also know exactly what to do get amazing results from the first moment you wake up. You cats won't believe the power and value of the information that's coming. I'm so excited for you too. Welcome to paradise and welcome to the first day of substantially better life. The entrepreneur slept more soundly that night in Mauritius than she had in years. Despite the threat she had received, the combination of the billionaire's brief instructions, the the magnificence of the natural setting, the purity of the clean ocean air, and her growing fondness of the artist caused her to get go of many of her concerns and rediscover a state of calm she'd long since forgotten. Then at precisely 3:33 a.m., she heard a thunderous bang on her doors. She knew it was this time because she glanced at the alarm clock on the wooden night table in the stylish guest house her host had arranged for her to stay in. Entrepreneur assumed it was the artist, perhaps dealing with a jet lag or sleeping after the excellent yet large dinner they had enjoyed together. Without asking who it was, she opened the door. No one was there. Hello, she announced to a star filled sky. Waved softly, collided with the seashore near her cottage, and the scents of roses, incense, and sandalwood could be detected in the breeze. Anyone here? Silence. The entrepreneur carefully shut the door. This time she bottled the lock. As she shuffled back to her bed that was covered with Egyptian cotton and lines, English linens, three mighty knocks pounded on the door. Yes, cried the entrepreneur, now alarmed. Yes. We have morning coffee you ordered, madam. A husky voice replied. The entrepreneur's face was crowded by crevices again. Her heart began to thump vigorously. She grew deeply distressed and her stomach filled with knots as humongous humongous as the Alps. They are bringing me coffee at this Nosto hour. Unbelievable. She returned to the front of the guest house, undid the lock, and opened the front door haltingly. A stocky man with a disagreeable bald head and one eye that seemed out of joint stood there. Smirking, he wore a red windbreakers and denim shorts that dropped just below his knees. Around his neck was a thin piece of blue string. Dangling from it was a plastic laminated photos of the person's face. The entrepreneur squinted to see the face more clearly in the darkness, and as she did, she saw the image of an older man, one he knew very well, one she loved very much, one she missed considerably. The picture in the plastic she was studying was of her dead father. Who are you? Screamed the terrified entrepreneur. How did you get this photo? I have been sent by your business partner. We know everything there is to know about you. Everything. We have tracked all your personal data. We have hacked all your files. We have investigated your entire history. The bald man in the windbreaker reached under the front of his belt and pulled out a knife, bringing it to within a few inches of the entrepreneur's thin and particularly veiny throats. No one can protect you now. We have an entire team focused on you. I am not going to hurt you yet. This time, just about me making a point, giving you an in a person message. Leave your company, give up your equity, and say bye bye, or you get this blade in your neck. When you least expected it, when you think you are safe, maybe with that chubby painter friends of yours. The man pulled a knife away and replaced it under his belt. Have a good night, madam. It's been a pleasure meeting you. I knew we'll see you each other soon. Then he reached forward and pulled the door shut with a slam. The entrepreneur, badly shaken, fell to her knees. Please, God, help me. I can't take this anymore. I don't want to die. Three more strikes came to the door. These ones were gentler. Hey, it's me. Please open the door. The knocking startled the entrepreneur and woke her up. The tapping continued. She opened her eyes, peered around the lightless room, and realized she had been caught in a bad dream. The businesswoman rose from her bed, shuffled across the wide planked oak floor, and opened the front door. Knowing it was the artist after hearing his familiar voice. I just had a most insane dream, said the entrepreneur. A brutal man showed up here, had a piece of plastic hanging from his neck with a photo of my dad in it. The threatened to stab me with a knife if I don't give my firm over to the investors. You okay now? The artist asked softly. I'll be fine. I had an unusual dream too, the artist explained. I couldn't sleep after it. It's got me thinking about so many things. The quality of my art, the depth of my belief system, the foolishness of my excuses, my cynical attitude, my aggressiveness, my self sabotage, and my endless procrastinations. I'm analyzing my daily routine and how I'll spend the rest of my life. Hey, you're sure you are okay? The artist questions, realizing he was talking a little too much about himself and not empathizing with his alarmed companion. I'm fine better now that you are here. You sure? Yes. I missed you, the artist said. Do you do you mind if I tell you more about my dream? Go ahead, encouraged the entrepreneur. Well, I was a little kid at school, and every day I'd pretended I was two things. a Ghent, and a pirate. All day long, I believe I had a strength of Ghent and the rule the breaking of swagger of a pirate. I told my teacher I was these two characters, and at home I told my parents the same things. My teachers laughed at me and put me down, telling me to be a more realistic, to behave more like the other kids, and to stop all my ridiculous dreaming. What did your parents say? Were they kinder to you? Asked the entrepreneur, now sitting on the sofa, with her legs crossed in a yoga posture, same as my teachers. They told me I wasn't Kent and that I definitely was no pirate. They reminded me that I was a little boy and told me that if I didn't limit my imaginations, stifle my creativity, and put an end to my hypnotized away from our brilliance and brainwashed out of our genius. The spellbinder and the billionaires are right. Tell me more about your dream, the entrepreneur us. I began to mold myself to the system. I started to become follower. I no longer believe I was as a powerful as a Ghent, as a swashbuckling as a pirate. I sheep walked with the flock, becoming like everybody else. Eventually, I grew into a man who spent money I didn't have, buying things I didn't need to impress people I didn't like. What a poor way to live. I do some of that behavior too, admitted the entrepreneur. I am learning so much about myself thanks to this very weird and hugely useful voyage. voyage. I am starting to realize how superficial I have been, how selfish I am, and how many good things I actually have going for me in my life. Many people in the world couldn't even imagine experiencing all the blessing I have. Got you, said the artist. So, in my dream, I became a bookkeeper. I married and had a family. I lived in a subdivisions and I drove a good car. I had a fairly nice life. A few true friends, work that paid my mortgages, and a salary that handled my bills. But each day looked the same, grey versus vivid, boring instead of enchanting. As I got older, the children left home to live lives of their own. My body aged and my energy fell. And unfortunately, my wife in my dream passed away. As I grew even older, my eyesight began to fail. My hearing began to fade, and my memory became extremely weak. This is making me feel sad, voiced an entrepreneur sounding vulnerable. And when I got real old, I actually forgetted where I lived, couldn't remember my name, and lost all senses of who I was in the community. But get this, I began to remember who I truly was again. Agent and a pirate, right? Exactly. Replied the artist, the dream made me understand that I can't postpone doing amazing works anymore. That I can't put off improving my health, my happiness, my confidence, and even my love life. Really? Wonder the entrepreneur wistfully really responded the artist. He then reached forward and kissed her on. The chapter 8 has been ended right now here. We'll come to the next chapter. Thank you very much. I hope this information is getting useful for you. Hope you like this and also subscribe the channel.